Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 1st, 2021. Time is 2:03 p.m. This is a special meeting to consider human resources personnel changes. Attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Fillios. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. First item, market study on the Communication Services Administrator position, HR. Sylvia?
I don't think you're on the mic. Top button, slide that up.
Yeah, slide that up.
There you go.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
pull it in
and
closer.
I'll pull
There
it
you
in
go.
closer. On January 28th, the Board of County Commissioners directed HR to conduct a market study of the communication services positions within 911. So we were able to finally get that completed. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack, as they're very unique positions. Fortunately, we were able to find 3 entities that had similar positions that we considered good matches for that, and it was Spokane County, the State of Idaho Military Division, and Region 1 through Northwest Data Exchange, which is the area we used for our wage study. So it's the Coeur d'Alene area, Kootenai County area. So for the survey, we had to use salary minimum to do our comparison and benchmark. When you do a market survey, you want to use actual salaries, but we were fast tracking this and didn't want to delay the process any longer than trying to find those positions, so we used minimum, and we had to do that also with our community development positions. So what we found in that study is that the positions within the communication services component were about 40%, over 40% below the minimum salary for the market. From that survey, we have some recommendations of adjusting their salaries and also placing it in the sworn officer matrix. So we're wanting to re-title the positions because Kevin and the Sheriff's Office have had an opportunity to look at how that should be structured. So what we're recommending is that there's a Communication Services Lead Administrator position with a salary range of $68,412.80 to maximum of $88,664.99. Then the Communication Services Administrator, which was formerly known as the technician, would be placed 5% lower than the lead because they're pretty interchangeable. What distinguishes them in difference is that the lead supervises. And that would have a salary range of $64,992.16 to $84,636.70. So that is the market study that we have, and what you have before you is the matrix that's being proposed. And in aligning the matrix, we put it in a similar, why we picked the 7-year is because sergeants and lieutenants are in that 7-year plan on the matrix.
Okay. Any discussion?
No, do we need to approve the market study?
Yes, and I guess the proposed salary ranges, and then being able to place these positions on the sworn officer matrix with the 7-year
Which is
plan.
item number 2.
Okay, yes.
So I guess we can handle 1 and 2 together, Darren?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this would become effective, what, immediately?
Yeah, the beginning of the new pay period.
New pay period, okay. And how many people are affected? 2?
2.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
I do have one. And if we approve this now, and I don't know whether we're going to have to go into exec for this later, but we're talking about bringing an individual back. We bring that individual back, then that individual is going to necessarily fit into this matrix. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep, step 1.
Bill?
What?
What I'm
You
saying?
asked me if I want to bring the guy back?
Well,
Oh.
let me ask it differently. If you bring the, say that again?
I said, I have no problem what's being proposed by HR. Okay, that's one issue. I would vote for that.
Yeah, we got several issues going on here, so we get to the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, my concern with getting to the one that I'm talking about is that if we approve the matrix and we agree to bring him back, then we necessarily have to bring him back at the low end. And I want to have a discussion about that. I don't have a problem that somebody leaves and wants to come back, but we made a very generous offer. And I get the study, and I'm usually not one to oppose the studies, but we have a very unique situation here. If I left a position and I wanted to go back, I would be depending on the grace and mercy of that organization to take me back. And I don't doubt that he's a valuable individual, but my point is if I approve this, then I necessarily have to approve bringing him back at that level. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but I want to have the discussion.
You would bring whoever you hired at least to the minimum,
In at the minimum.
in at the minimum for the
For sure.
approved schedule.
Right.
Yep.
Yes,
Which
And
is-
I'm for
Yes.
anybody that we hire.
yes,
Which is at the $68,000 level,
yes.
Yeah, step one.
step one.
So I'm not,
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Leslie.
we can talk about it, but I'm not interested in telling the sheriff who to hire and who not to hire. So for me, I think this is a reasonable thing, no matter who sits in that seat, as long as they're qualified. So I'm ready to, approve the matrix and go on, but I'm not gonna tell them who to hire.
I'm not either, but but we are, and Darren has been very emphatic, we own salaries. And salaries, yes, salaries are ranges, but salaries also go with individuals and individual performance, but anyway. Okay, then, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the market study on the communication services administrator positions and request, and also approve the request to add the communication services positions to the sworn officer matrix.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So let's move on to the second item. Well, actually,
Three.
we essentially did, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we grouped 1 and 2. Item number 3, salary adjustment based on matrix salary range for comm services positions.
Okay, I'm gonna let Kevin or Dan talk about it. So in terms of the comm services administrator, that's an existing employee. So his salary would need to be brought up to at least first year of the 64,992.16.
And my understanding is he filled in for when that one position was vacant. So what I had brought up when this originally came to us is where's the succession planning? And so I'm very much in favor of having that duplication and cross-training. So I'm fine with it.
And I believe they want to bring him to year 1, so if that would then need a motion.
Sure. How many years has he been with us?
3.
3. Okay.
Questions?
Fine with me.
Okay, I have a question, and I don't know if you can answer this. As you look at the general pay plan and the possibility of going over to a matrix, how many other positions, roughly, and you probably don't have a precise count, in the county are falling into this general situation, that is to say, people that are below market?
So there are several positions that are below our market range. And so when we did the wage study in 2019, we were moving people based on time and position to market. Well, as we're adjusting those scales, they lose somewhat of a percentage of where they are to market. So maybe you were at 100% of market and now you're at 97% of market. But we have the positions with the COLA adjustment, we moved our scale. So that helped with our market in comparison to where we are with other organizations. And then for fiscal year 23, for fiscal year 22, we're hoping to get a matrix for our staff. Fiscal year 23, with the board's direction, doing another wage study, so then we can see, are we aligning properly with the market or not? Our problem is that for years and years before you guys got here, and me, people weren't moving through the scale, and there was no progression. So that's why they're below even this current market range. So we have to take steps to get them to market and beyond. But there was no progression that really occurred in the past. So the matrix will help us address that if we can keep it up each year and move people as they should be moving, as long as they don't have performance issues.
Documented performance issues.
Documented performance issues, yes.
Okay, so once again, as I look at this, we're making an adjustment here. Are there any others that require an immediate adjustment? What I'm saying is we're taking a couple of positions and we're putting them on a matrix.
Yes.
But everybody else in the general pay plan is going to wait until they get put on a matrix. Is this an emergency situation? I'm saying, are we going down two different paths, is my question.
Well, the request was of the sheriff's office, and maybe they want to speak as to why it makes sense to put this position under the matrix, because you have your emergency operations, your communications officers and so forth on that matrix as well. This just feels like it's the right fit. But whether you need to do it immediately, I don't know. I would adopt at least the ranges, but you can take care of something right away, then you've got your matrix in place and we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay, so if we have a situation, and I can think of maybe a couple that might be arising, where people come to us and say, hey, look, okay, so you guys conducted the wage study. There were some deficiencies in the study, especially with certain positions. And so they come to us and they say, you know, we'd like an adjustment or a reclass or whatever. Are we setting a precedent here where other people can come back and request the same thing? And I don't have a problem. I can handle each one. But what we're doing is we're moving people to a matrix while we're holding everybody else up until we get that matrix developed. This is logical, but get ready, because folks are going to say, so you're telling me I've got to wait another year?
So here's where I'm coming from. These are unique positions that are not easily replaceable, and if they go down, our communication system goes down. So this is one that, it's one of those things that we cannot function without these positions. So I'm okay with doing it mid-year, which I don't anything mid-year. But for me, this is something that is justifiable. Plus, it's all 911 restricted fund funded. So it's not even affecting the general dollars. So for me, the money is there. It's just like Parks and Waterways coming and saying, okay, boaters have paid for this, it's broken, we need to fix it now. Well, okay, you're gonna have to wait till next budget season, but the restricted dollars is there. So for me, I'd rather do it now to kind of secure the positions instead of waiting till October, when I believe that these two positions have demonstrated their efficiency or efficacy or value. I don't know.
Well,
I don't mind doing the matrix, but I do think, I agree with,
get closer.
I agree with you, Chris, that it opens it up. Because when
Get
people
ready,
say, well, you
because-
did it here, I need it done here. You need to do a new wage study for me because I don't think this one's right.
And
And
Right.
how do you say no to that?
Right. And this is the second wage study that we've done just this fiscal year.
I
So
understand.
if we can put it on hold, because we'll start doing some of this work October of 21, but not for implementation till fiscal year 23. But, yeah, it's a tough one. You're in a tough position.
It is tough, and you know, to Leslie's point about restricted funds, get ready, because soon you're going to hear people come forward and say, well, mine's grant funded. Guess what? I'm going to go for it, because I'm not going to set a double standard. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for the grant. Same argument. If we're not paying for it, same argument.
I guess where I would differentiate the grant is more than likely yearly, and if it goes away, then that position has to go away, and I've said that many times. This is not a grant-funded position. This is E911 funds that are going to be in existence forever.
That's
So-
true, but we also have a history of grant funding in certain organizations that goes back years. So I'm just saying that be prepared, because often what we hear, and I'm not going to mince words, is that we're always making exceptions for the sheriff. Right, Dan, as we did the last, anyway. Sheriff, please.
Well, if I'm interpreting your questions correctly, and I'm not saying that Sylvia didn't, but if I'm interpreting correctly, do we have a bigger problem as Kootenai County as an employer? Absolutely. I believe the next 2 years is going to be very challenging, and it is probably likely the number one issue facing this board is being in a Kootenai County employer right now. First time ever in Kootenai County Sheriff history, we offered a job to a lateral peace officer, and he accepted the job, came up here, looked for housing, says, I can't take your job because I can't find housing, and when I do, it's too expensive.
Yep, we've heard that.
So, yes, you will likely have many of these come before you soon. And I believe that it's the number one issue facing this board is being a Kootenai County employer right now. We have a lot of dynamics here, and housing's one of them. Our candidate pool is more likely going to have to come here locally instead of from across the United States like at one time it used to. That's all I have to say on this subject. I appreciate your consideration on this, and I'd like to be heard on this subject, but apparently we're going to do that in closed session. So,
All right, thank you, Sheriff. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so were we going to vote on anything here? It doesn't look that way, does it?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, we're going to place them into the matrix, was that it?
Did I make a motion already?
You did to combine 1 and 2.
Okay.
Does 3 need a motion?
Right. Yeah, so 3 is the salary adjustment, so
That's
it's
correct.
the second position, bringing him up
Yes,
to the
yes.
first year of the brand new.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, I move that we approve the salary adjustment based on the new matrix salary range for communication service position.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion is carried. Item number 4, hiring of communication services lead administrator position for KCSO. I think we might want to go into exec for this.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061A.
Second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Entering into executive session with Deputy Civil Prosecuting Attorney Darren Murphy. there a motion?
I move we exit executive session, and I also move that we approve the hiring of the communications services lead at step 1.
Well, I agree that we go out of executive session, but I don't, you need to split that so it can.
Okay, then I move we exit executive session.
I second that motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there a further motion?
I move that we approve the hiring of the communication services lead administrator at step 1.
I second the motion.
Do you want any discussion?
No, I was just gonna, when I vote, ready?
Oh, okay.
I'm going to abstain because I very much want the sheriff's office to have the people they want, but I very much oppose acceding to somebody's demands.
Aye.
Aye, and motion is carried. Public comment? None. 2:43, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.